Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Horsenden Hill, and welcome to another broadcast that we're doing as part of 30 Days Wild. So 30 Days Wild is a little project organised by the wildlife trusts here in the United Kingdom, and it encourages people every day in June to get out and do something to engage with the natural world, the wild world around them. So I'm trying to do a little broadcast every day in June. Hopefully I manage to broadcast every day. There might be a couple of days where it's just some content on Twitter, and that's just getting out and doing something, showing something, looking for something, just going for a walk and sharing it on here. So what we're going to do today, we'll have a quick look at one of the meadows here and talk about one of the plants that occurs in the meadow, yellow-rattle or hay-rattle. And it's a plant that's often used if you're trying to convert something from over-enriched artificial grassland into something more like a natural wildflower type of meadow. And we'll have a look at that and we'll talk about it in a minute. So it's good. Turn the camera around. We can have a look into the meadow here. You can already see there's quite a bit of flowers growing here in the meadow. So we'll have a look at that more generally. But the particular plant that we are looking at is this one here. And this is called yellow-rattle. Yellow because of the colour of the flowers, rather obviously. And rattle because a bit later on, when the flowers have turned into seeds and the seed pods have matured, these little seed pods, when they've dried out, rattle and vibrate and make a lot of noise in the wind. A little bit too early for them to do that yet. And why are we calling this an important plant, a sort of meadow maker, as something gets called? Why are we calling it that? Well, this is a plant that is something known as a hemiparasite on grasses. So, as well as having leaves and photosynthesizing and producing energy for itself in that way, this plant also attacks the roots of grasses and weakens the grasses, takes nutrition away from them, takes energy away from them. So it weakens grasses. And that's quite important if you want a floristically diverse meadow, because too much grass will just dominate. So that's what you've got here, is this hemiparasitic plant, yellow-rattle or hay-rattle. And it occurs in the meadowland, and it helps stop the grasses from absolutely dominating this habitat. You see there's quite a little clump of it here, and there's patches all the way scattered through. And it's often used in artificial seed mixes, not in artificial seed mixes, in seed mixes where you use to try and establish a meadow. So if grassland has been managed as a utility grassland, cut as regular as a green sward and generally over fertilised and so on, so that all you've got is your rich green grass and very little flowers. One of the ways that you convert grassland back into something with a bit more floristic diversity, a bit more like we've got here, is to plant particular plants that help, including yellow-rattle, and to get them to do that. And as you can see in this meadow, well, I don't think this was deliberately planted with this stuff to convert it into meadowland. I think it's been meadowland for quite a while and has sort of developed naturally over time. But this plant, this yellow-rattle, can often be planted and used for the purposes of creating habitat and creating meadowland. Now I did just see flying over a little moth, which is a species that the caterpillars of which are associated with that plant. So I'm going to see if I can find, I saw approximately where it went, I'm going to see if I can find one and have a look at that. A bit of a long shot to try and find a small moth in a large meadow, but we'll see if we can see if we can find one and have a look at it. It's a species of moth called the grass rivulet. It's associated with grassland, but its caterpillars are particularly associated with that yellow rattle that we were looking at. And it seems to be expanding its population. I've seen it here more in recent years than I have previously. So that's rather nice. That is not it. That's a different moth species. Quick look at that as well. It's still sat down there, as is that. So this is not the moth I was just talking about. This is a Burnet companion moth that was flying about in there. Ah, there it is. On the other side of that leaf. If I go too close, it's going to fly away. A different species of moth again, quite common in the grassland, easily kicked up by day. That wasn't the one I was seeing if we could find an example of, which was the grass rivulet. I did see one whilst I was talking before about the plant, but not having any success in relocating it. There's a oh well. Always a challenge. We weren't really focusing on moths today. I think we were really talking about the yellow-rattle in particular, and then some of the other plants that it causes to grow. So we've obviously got Michaelmas daisies here. You've got quite a bit of red clover that I think we can see here. Your red clover down there. Your large daisies type plants, Michaelmas daisies, things like that. It's all rather interesting, and I say we'll end back where we started, which was just having another look down at this yellow-rattle, this plant that by weakening the grasses, by somewhat parasitising, if you want, the grasses in the meadows, just keeps the grass down a bit and makes the meadows a little bit better for all the flowers and so on that are growing here. So just a brief broadcast today. We'll end there.